I'd like to call the Monday, July 20th, 2026 Oakwood City Council meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please, Lori?
Mayor Duncan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Here.
Mrs. Turbin?
Here.
Mrs. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Dorff?
Here.
And do we have a report on the minutes of our June 1st, 2026 regular session and work session and our June 15, 2026 work session? Councilmember Dorff.
Yes, I reviewed the minutes from all of those work sessions, and they are correct, and I recommend that we approve those minutes.
Do we have a second?
A second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, so ordered. Under status reports on our agenda, we have no status reports this evening, so we will go to the visitor portion of our meeting, and that would be where anyone can come down to the podium and state their name and address for the record, and address council on any matter they would like to address. Okay, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Karen Knoll. I live at 295 West Thruston Boulevard.
Could you put the microphone a little closer
sure.
so people at home can hear you?
Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not used to doing
That's
this.
okay.
I'm Karen Knoll, 295 West Thruston, Oakwood. I'm here tonight to discuss an issue that we've been dealing with since about April. Our street abuts the Dayton Country Club, and since April, they've decided not to mow a long, large stretch of grass that abuts our home, our neighbor's home, and another home on West Thruston. Since the spring, they decided to use a new master landscape plan to include tall native grass, which is essentially just to let the grass grow wild. It's saving them money, it's saving them man hours, it's saving them fertilizer, watering. They're basically using this native grass plan to save a lot of money. And the golf course is in a little bit of financial problem right now, so any dollar that they can save, they're gonna do. They stopped mowing in about April, and at first we were like, why aren't they mowing that side of the yard? You know, it comes out right our front window. It looks kind of bad, and I thought, well, maybe they're waiting to mow under the trees because it was really rainy, and then they never mowed. So by early May, it had gotten to the point of about 8 inches tall, which is the same height that Kettering uses and Oakwood uses for our grass height. And I called the city of Kettering because that part of the Dayton Country Club is actually in Kettering. Although we're in Oakwood, we have to look at it. So I called the city zoning department, talked to a nice gal. She's like, I'll come out and take a look. So sure enough, she came and took a look at it, and it was already at 8 inches. And she said, yes, I agree with you. It looks bad. It's over the limit. I'm going to go back to the office, talk to my manager. So over the next month or so, we had discussions back and forth. We've had discussions with the Dayton Country Club about coming to mow. It's looking really bad. It was kind of green for a while, but then, as you know, summer has gotten really hot and dry, so now it looks really bad. It's about 2 feet tall. When the city of Kettering worked on the zoning situation, they also got involved with the planning department, and the city of Kettering's planning department actually came up with a new plan to cover golf courses who want to grow grass really tall. And that came out approximately early June. So they came out with a plan that pretty much gives all the golf courses in the Kettering area, including Dayton Country Club, Moraine, NCR, Community, and Dayton, to do these native grass areas, which I agree with totally. But if you have to look at it from a really expensive home that pays a ton in taxes, it doesn't look so great anymore. On the golf course, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's great. It kind of looks like Scotland, sort of. Well, sort of. But anyway, it just looks really bad. It's getting worse and worse as time goes on. So the city of Kettering came up with a plan to give the golf courses some leniency about mowing certain areas of the golf course. And they sent us a plan. They pulled it back a little bit more off the road, because right at the beginning it was right at the road, and then they pulled it back a little, then they pulled it back a little more. But my neighbor actually went out and measured. It's about 100 and something feet long by 100 and something feet deep. And it almost covers our entire frontage of our house. So we get the brunt of it because we have to look at it out our front window, and it looks really, really bad. So I think what we would like to ask is if Oakwood could at least try to get in touch with Kettering zoning and say, look, when you develop this plan, did you take into account that houses are going to have to oversee this terrible brown matted down grass that have also been a target for beer cans from the neighborhood high school kids to dump them in there because it's a great hiding place. But we would really like to ask the city of Oakwood to try to work with the city of Kettering and help us out, because it's a terrible look. If you ever drive down our street, you'll see exactly what we see. And we just got our new tax bill, and now I'm like, oh my God, we have to look out at this, and we have to pay a lot of tax money. So we're just hoping you guys could help us out. Our neighbors next door have done more investigation, and it's just high time that we can come to some agreement with the city of Kettering to help the Oakwood people out, since we're the ones that are bearing the burden and have to look at it. So that's all I have. My neighbors are going to pop in and give you a little bit more of the history. But thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. And you would like to speak as well? Again, if you could name and address for the record, and we welcome you.
I'm Cheryl Suge. I live at 291 West Thruston Boulevard.
Next door neighbor.
Yeah, we live right next to each other, and we're also speaking, well, anyways, we have another neighbor that's next to us, but she's not here. So, in regards to that. But I'm Cheryl Suge. Do you mind if I hand these out to you guys? Okay. Yeah, this will show you more. Do you mind if I approach her?
Sure.
Okay.
That's no problem.
With your pictures. Follow the front. And I know I only have limited time, so if I don't finish, you can
Thank you.
follow.
I won't start the clock until you get back to the podium.
Husband printed these out this morning.
He's got a color copier at the office.
Yeah, this is not a thesis paper, it's
Okay.
just a FYI paper.
Thank you.
So it's more of a. Sorry about that. Here you go. Thank you. I did it in black Sharpie because I wanted you to see what I was saying. Is what I did. Do you need one too?
Yes,
That's
please.
fine. What I did is I just wrote a simple thing, and for pictures to follow, we live at 291, and we have approximately, since I call it the native weed grass plan, is what I call it, and they have actually cut down a lot of on our property, but the knolls, they have not hardly cut down anything, and if I was living across from that and paying what they pay, I'd be highly upset. But we're advocating for the three neighbors is what we're doing. But currently there is 260 feet and 125 feet, 260 feet wide, and if you look at the pictures there, it states that it's 260 feet long, and it goes all the way down to where the service area is. It's 125 deep, and I measured it last night, and it's about 22 inches tall in the weeds, but it's hot, and they're flipping over is what they're doing. And this is the concern, and I took pictures, and actually these two front pictures are, if you connect them together, you'll see how long it is. and it shows you the length in regards to that. And I have the house numbers that are effective. And this is right in front of our properties. So our front properties, you know, where you enter our house, it's not the backyard. Our front properties face this, is what they face, okay? Anyways, I have spoken with the manager there at the Dayton Country Club. We have gotten nowhere. And I did speak with Steve Byington, and they did do the 60-foot right-of-way. I found that right-of-way looking, based upon somebody's recommendation. I found it, but anyways, I called Mr. Byington, and he helped us out with that, I believe, because they did move it back. They did move it back, but this picture, it's still there. Okay, they did do improvements. Okay, anyways, I did talk to them. We even offered to. My husband has a John Deere, which he loves. We offered to mow it, and we would sign a form that we wouldn't sue them if we got hurt. You know, that like, no, we won't do that. We offered, you know, we'll get Siebenthalers out there, and we'll get some perennial native plants that we can plant in there to make it colorful and pretty instead of tall weeds. That's what they are. Nope, don't want to do that. So anyways, we made suggestions and they weren't interested, okay? We're talking about front yards. This is our front yards. If you take our 3 houses together with property taxes, we pay over $100 and some thousand in property taxes per year. Just 3 houses. With the new property taxes going up, it's going to be over that, okay? And we live in Oakwood because of the gardens, the standards, the expectation that things are going to be nice. And I love the planterns there on Far Hills. I just love it. I said, yay, Oakwood's back. But that's why we live in this community, for the beauty and the restoration and keeping that character of the homes and the community of the neighborhoods. And now we have to look at that. And I don't know, it's just different. It's just different. But anyways, what I wanted to say is our homes are kept pretty nice, not perfect, but pretty nice. And when I went in to look at when I went in to look at the Dayton Country Club, I noticed something, okay? Their front of their club, okay, they have the entrance, you have the tennis court, you have the parking lot, and then you have the ridge that goes down where you see that beautiful white Italian mansion down there. And then over to the left, you have the pool area. And then you have the 2 entrances that have pretty flowers and everything, and then you have the club, okay? There is not one native weed grass plan in effect around those areas. That is the front entrance of their home. Now, why would they make sure that all those areas were pristine, and then they don't want that plan in front of their home, their entrance, okay, where people come in and they get an impression of what's going on? Mm-hmm. Why put it in front of our home? Why are you putting that in front of our home if you don't want it in front of your home's entrance? That's what I noticed. So anyways, if you go to the parking lot, we're on this here. If you go to the parking lot, well, wait a minute, let's go to the entrance, I'm sorry. If you go to the entrance, if you go to the main entrance, I'm on this sheet right here.
Yep.
It's on there. You will see that everything is pristine.
Right.
Everything is pristine. And I just got pictures and I'm not gonna go through it. But everything is mowed, cut, trimmed, everything, okay? And when you go to the back of the country club, I don't belong to the country club, but when you go to the back of the country club, the ridges are south. So you've got the club here, and then you have these ridges going south, is what you've got. So your visual is not the complete native tall weed structure that you're looking at, okay? They even have a ridge on the parking lot, and I have a picture on the parking lot, that if you go behind the country club, if you go behind it, which is what I did, you will see the tennis court. There is no native, I'll just call it native program, okay? There's no native program by the tennis court. There's a parking lot. They made sure there was no native program obstructing the view of that beautiful house down the hill. I mean, it's beautiful down the hill. But there is a native program on the ridge right underneath the main entrance parking lot is where there is, but you can't see it. If you're going into the main entrance.
Can you show us what picture you're looking at? No, I'm sure I've got it here. Just hold it up. Okay. I hadn't caught up with you. And you were describing it, and I'm like, okay. No, don't be sorry.
And if you look right here, there's a ridge.
You need to, Cheryl, you need to get back to the microphone, and you sort of need to wrap this up.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're doing fine.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. But anyways, you'll see where you can't see it. And then also they actually mowed this hill here, so the tennis court, you couldn't see the program, the native weed program. And and if you go through the pictures, you'll see where they don't have that, okay? I also went on Little Lane and Willow Lane, and I'm not gonna go, you can look for yourself what I have written in regards to the native weeds program. You can just read for yourself on that. This shows the different properties and the addresses. If you
Okay.
want to go through that, and it'll show if there's native plan or whatever. All right. And then, anyways, just to make this brief, also in regards to with the Dayton Country Club, we have had issues over the years, and so have the Knolls, with leaves. If you go back here, they take their professional lawnmower stuff and they blow all their leaves, and I have pictures, towards our property, and we have a southwest wind. They had to buy a professional blower, and anyways, it's a long-term issue. You can look through that. But anyways, okay. We're just requesting for the city of Oakwood to look at some of these issues in regards to the native tall grass weed plan. If you look at the front of Oakwood, like I said, it's pristine. There's no native weed. It's pristine.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go through that. And if you read through the minutes here, that's pretty much about it. We just need some assistance here. And we don't want our front yards to look like this. It could be a nuisance. It could be a breeding for pest, a fire issue, a decrease in property value, and a lack of standards. And there's 2 streets in Oakwood that are in the pictures. They did have that native program, but it was very fine. It was very fine, and it was making me wonder if it was related to maybe the leaves. I don't know. But anyways, we're just asking for some help here. They did improve, and I think that's with Mr. Byington with the 60 foot, but and this mound it's quite large, 260 feet by 125. It's quite large in your front yard. So we're just asking for somebody to look into this and maybe contact the board members or the general manager at the Dayton Country Club.
Okay.
That's all we're asking.
David, do you want to add any comments?
I do.
Okay.
I got some specifics.
Well, you need to come up and introduce yourself as well.
Yes, anyways, thank you, everybody. My name is David Suich. I live at 291 West Thruston Boulevard with my very dutiful wife here, who's given you a lot of detail, and appropriate detail, I might add, on some of the issues that are facing us here. So I also have some handouts. They're not as voluminous, but let me get these out there. Yes, at any rate, to move things along, the thing that I wanted to focus on is that, first of all, I'm here to speak about property rights more than anything else, and particularly relating to easements and right-of-ways, okay? In the packet that I handed out, I've got some information on plat maps pertaining to that. And at any rate, the big issue here is that we've had some bad neighbor encounters. The Dayton Country Club is part of that, if you will, but not all, okay? The thing that I wanted to point out is I do want to thank city officials for several helpful efforts here. The Oakwood Police Department has been able to help us on one of the easement issues we encounter. Rob Jacques has been trading emails with me, and I am grateful for his help because we really truly do try to work this out in an informal manner, not in a very formalized type of matter. We don't think that that's appropriate. We're trying to be good neighbors. We're expecting that kind of response back. And Vice Mayor Byington, thank you for speaking with my wife the other day to just get a visual about what was actually going on. And as my wife pointed out, there was some move back of that, awful grass thing that we're having a look at. So it's not like there wasn't some movement there, but there still is a large patch, I'll call it, left, okay? Back to the easements. Back last fall, close to Thanksgiving, we had this guy that showed up with a big rig and a big telephone pole and said, I got rights. We get to go back there and, right away, and we get to take our big truck back there and get this pole put back there and replace the pole that's bad. And, whoa. How do you think you have rights, okay? So he's like, well, we've got an easement there. Well, it's like, yes, there is an easement. Now, on the plat map that I provided to y'all, there's a, it's in micro print, unfortunately, so I magnified the language that pertains to the easement relative to our property. And it doesn't mean that the city doesn't have the rights to get, utilities maintained and things replaced and all. But there's, throughout the language there's this reasonableness standard, okay? In other words, you don't get to take this, Big Mac truck and go back out in our backyard and tear up our lawn, or try to. Even if they had tried to put in this pole that I'm referencing, there's trees in the way. So what are they gonna do? Tear out our trees or leave big tracks getting around and all? This gentleman seemed to have absolutely no care, not to mention that he butt up his truck up against the front, part of my wife's car and gave it a few scrapes for good measure or whatever, but acted like a bully. So we called the PD, the Oakwood PD. They came out and cooled everybody off or whatever, but that's not a reasonableness standard. Our utility companies don't get the right to come in and say, yeah, we get to do whatever we want to your property. It's like reasonable
Can I
people.
clarify something?
Please, go ahead.
This is a separate issue than the long grasses on
It sure
Dayton.
is.
Okay, so it's a totally separate.
It is separate, but
Okay.
it's related on property rights. And we've
Okay.
had kind of a fun year with property rights and people taking their liberties with our property, okay? And it's, again, a little bit broader of a request to have the city step up on these kinds of instances where we're good neighbors, clue us in, let us know what's going on. We'll work with anybody to get something to happen, but, don't just show up with a big truck and then expect, something to happen like that. So that's this one of two instances, okay? The second instance has to do with the right-of-way, okay? So, Rob Jacques said to me, hey, big guy there, look at those plat maps because we don't really even know where the stopping and starting of this 60 feet is here, okay? So we had a survey done last week. The survey mapped out where it started. The starting point is, on the sidewalk, a little bit, maybe anywhere from a half a foot to maybe a foot in the middle of the sidewalk is the starting point of that 60 feet. And then that 60 feet goes over into the golf course. So we had, what's the name of the outfit here? Marsh and McDougal. They're the people that did the replat back in '98. Well, we had them out again to redo it just to make sure that they were doing the measurements right and everything. And so we have that updated plat, if you will, or updated survey map on the back part of what I handed out. So you get to see what that is. So the tricky part for this board here is that these rights predate Kettering from even being a city. These are referenced in there as being part of Van Buren Township. Okay, so you go back to 1919. Okay, I think the golf course was formed maybe a couple years before, but
1895.
Okay, sorry. Then I'm overstating it. My apologies. But you get the point that they've been around for a while. Right. And when the replat was done, it was to reassert those and get those a little bit more clear. And the tricky part is that Kettering has got standards. Okay, so Karen and I were over at the Kettering City Council meeting about a month ago, right? And so they were all excited, and they say, oh yeah, we've got the beautification awards that are coming out, and then we come in after and saying, you guys, you better relook at those awards. We're not going to win here, I guess, but you're not helping out your own cause. So Oakwood standards are a little bit different, especially on zoning, and Rob Jack pointed that out to me. He's like, hey, we've got, kind of a conflict of law thing going on here, okay, between what the city has and our rights here in Oakwood precede Kettering's, okay? They were in place beforehand. And so from my perspective, it's like, we want to be good neighbors with the city of Kettering there where the Dayton Country Club is, but that what they just said ain't right. That's not a good reconciliation of it, okay? We need a little bit more effort there. And I understand that legally, if they're back from that 60-foot mark, okay, you could say, oh, well, there's nothing we can do at 60 feet. They're back off of the right-of-way. They're not in the Oakwood, world. But Lee Turbin, I remember when you were, running for, council re-election, you were saying, hey, Oakwood's a beautiful place. I'm proud of this city. It makes an effort to make things look good. Well, Cheryl here busts her butt to make our property look good. That's all I'm going to tell you, okay? Yeah, right. And then the Knowles do a wonderful job as well. The point is, we care, okay? So we're hoping that the city does too, and as they requested, and I'm going to request here, we need your help to do maybe a little bit more. And again, I'm grateful for the informal efforts that have already happened here because that's a good start, and so we're asking for a little bit more, and that's all I've got.
All right.
Thank you.
I will say that as has been pointed out, and council is aware of this issue, the problem is we don't have any jurisdiction on the Kettering side.
Understand that.
On this right-of-way issue, I don't know if that's something we need to take a look at, and I don't know, Rob, are you aware of this right-of-way issue? On the easement,
I'm aware that there's there's a 60-foot right-of-way
Yeah.
on Thruston.
Okay.
Yes.
We were unsure of exactly where, typically it's measured from the back of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right.
He's had a survey that I think puts it 6 inches or a foot.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
now, I mean, is that issue resolved now that we know where the right-of-way is?
I'm going to say based on what I just handed to you, yes.
Mhm. Okay.
We paid for that survey to do it, but I'm happy to share, I mean, I just shared the information. I have
Yeah.
Marcia McDougall, I'm sure, is happy to share that information
Okay.
as well, if we need any, specifics that go there.
Okay.
But,
And I do know that our law director, Rob Jacks, has gone sort of over and above meeting directly with Kettering officials,
Yes.
trying to get this issue resolved.
And I'm really grateful for those efforts because it's sticky, but we have, again, a conflict of law situation,
Yeah.
but I believe the 60-foot part is still being complied with. So back to the jurisdiction, I recognize this. This is, if I was making a legal argument, it's a loser, okay? Okay, because it's not a jurisdictional thing. But
Yeah.
from a standpoint of the beautification and the standards and all, Thruston Boulevard's being treated like a back alley. I'm waiting to see some cigarette butts being tossed around a dumpster off the back side of that, because that's how they're treating it. They're treating it like it's some, delivery depot instead of the front part of the building or whatever. And, oh yeah, hi there, neighbors in Oakwood there with the nice houses. Oh, well, I've got a special word there, but to be you, it follows it. Okay, it's awful to be you, and it's like that's not a very good neighbor type of a policy. What Cheryl is bringing up about the leaves, this would be sitcom worthy, watching Karen Knowles take her industrial blower on the leaves. But the leaf thing, we have to put up a winter fence. She does that in front of her yard. We do that as well. I've been asked, you might know Bill Frapwell. Bill's like, well, what do you got the winter fence thing going there, Dave? And I'm like, well, we're doing our civic duty here because we're helping the Dayton Country Club take care of their leaf problem there, even though Oakwood's, paying the bill for that, okay? Yeah. So he got a kick out of that. Well, kind of, sort of, but at any rate, yes, that leaf thing we spend time and money picking up the country club's leaves, and it's really annoying, and they're pretty rude about it. So, and again, I don't want to be overly petty, but it's a pattern of behavior, cumulative, and we care about Oakwood. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
Well, thank you
So
all.
thanks.
Thank all three of you for coming and informing council. I think we'll see what we can do. We have some limitations, but we'll see what we can do for you all. You have to come back to the microphone.
Just one, I'm Cheryl. They have met the 60 feet rule. I mean, they have met that. And actually, they're probably a foot or two over that. Okay, they have met that. We know that. What we're asking is that Oakwood has high standards. They're not respecting Oakwood standards in my eyes, or Thruston Boulevard residents' eyes. No, they're not. And we're asking that if they can have a pristine front yard with no native weeds, whatever program, then why are they allowing that in our front yard? That's what I wanted to get across.
And
Okay.
there's probably not a lot of support on council for
there's no
annexing
th-
the Dayton Country Club, but, I would start with Arrow Wine if it was up to me, but.
I don't drink.
But
We don't drink.
nonetheless, okay.
So, but that's what I
Okay.
wanted to bring to you.
Yes, I understand that.
That's not a
that
good neighbor.
Nuance, okay. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Sure.
Mrs. Sewage, if I could just ask you a question. I just want to clarify something you said for my own notes. You said they're complying with the 60-foot. They're actually, that policy that they're planning to develop, the department put out, they're mowing it, I think, was it 10, 15, David, you and I emailed about this, was it 10 or 15 feet beyond the 60 feet, right?
No, they're not.
Weren't they mowing it back a certain distance beyond the edge of the right-of-way?
We thought it was that much, but Cheryl just admitted.
I took the tape measure,
Okay.
She knows.
and
Well, I'd
they're,
have to refer back to that policy, but I think Kettering's requirement for them was that they mow it back some distance from the edge of the right-of-way. Yeah, I think 15
The
feet.
right-of-way is 60 feet,
Right.
and we had,
It's 75 feet if it's a 15-foot requirement.
I can measure it tomorrow and give you a call.
I'd like to know that, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can call you
They're not gonna run
tomorrow,
off their
and if
property.
you're not there, I'll leave you a message, but I'll take my tape measure, and I'll measure it for you. You're saying 75 feet?
I think so. David, you've got a copy of that document, the planning and development policy. I know you and I had shared it.
I do, and I haven't looked at it like in the past day or two, so, yes.
My recollection is that it was 15 feet, that they were gonna mow it.
Okay.
They were gonna mow it, make sure that it was mowed back at least 15 feet from the edge of the right of way.
Now, I will tell you that 291 is where we live. The Linda is 275. They did she has nothing there. We have, I'll measure it for you. They actually cut ours down a lot after the two gentlemen, I don't know who got with them, but you two gentlemen got with them. They cut our lot down a lot. I mean, a lot. I'll have to measure and see how much the width was cut down and the length was cut down tremendously. Okay, however, if you go to 295, which is the Knolls, oh my heavens, it's 125 feet, it's massive, and I know this sounds really petty like kids, but they bought a professional leaf blower, and they would take that leaf blower and blow it back into the country club. I have pictures of it there. And it really made them angry because they have these professional machines, and I talked to the manager, and I said, why don't you guys blow it into the woods? You got the woods there. They take that blower and blow it all the way up because they know it's the southwest winds, and Oakwood picks up the leaves for free. You get the picture? Heavens, and I'm the one, anyways, we got these metal fences, and that's where his friend said, what are you doing? And we told him what we were doing. But this lady here is really getting pummeled. And she's our neighbor, and she's part of Thrust, and I'm gonna stand up for her.
Well, if you could let me know.
I sure will. So you want to know how far back, and I'll let you know our distance.
Yeah.
I will do that for you.
From wherever your surveyor flagged the right-of-way line, a direct perpendicular measurement across.
Yeah.
If you could let me know what that
They
is.
put orange bullseyes on the sidewalk. So I will get that I will measure that for you
All right.
tomorrow. Thank
Cheryl,
you.
I have one more
Yeah.
question for you. You said you talked to Kettering Council, City Council, correct? You know, in Oakwood, we have certain requirements for these natural native gardens. Did you ask if they have any specific requirements for them? Because, I beg your pardon? Oh, just for golf courses? Yes. Okay, okay, and I remember you
Karen-
saying that, but I didn't realize that was just for.
That's the document I was asking David about. I've seen it.
When Karen filed the complaint, we started noticing weird things I noticed it around May 5th. And when Karen filed a complaint with the Kettering, because if you go on their city thing, it says, big warning, you're in trouble over 8 inches, you're in big trouble. Well, she called and filed a complaint and said, you know, we have an area that's over 8 inches, and it's huge, because it went all the way down to, what's that attorney's name? Bob Curry's. It was everywhere. And she filed a complaint, and then I called them to see when their meeting was, and they says, we don't have a meeting. And anyways, during that time, they came up, they made some rules and said, no, the 8 inches doesn't apply to golf courses. Okay. And I've never seen those rules.
Well, you didn't watch the British Open this weekend.
I'm sorry?
You did not watch the British Open this weekend in
Is it
Scotland.
in Scotland?
Yes.
Well, that's okay if it's in Scotland. We love Scotland. We're not in Scotland.
A good answer, and I accept that. Okay.
We're not in Scotland. I'd love to be in Scotland. But no, we're not in Scotland. This is in our front yard with no cliffs, no oceans.
I understand. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think we've used up all the visitors. Okay, thank you. In which case, then, we'll close this part of our meeting and we'll go to legislation, and Vice Mayor Byington has a resolution.
Yes, Your Honor. We have a resolution providing for an election on the question of a renewal tax levy in excess of the 10 mil limitation for current expenses in the general operation of the city. The city has an existing 2.72 mil property tax levy that is due to expire at the end of 2026. It was first approved by Oakwood voters in 1991 and has been renewed every 5 years since then. This is a resolution to place the renewal levy on the ballot in November. It is an updated version of the same resolution Council adopted in June with a formatting amendment requested by the Secretary of State office. As I noted previously, this is a renewal. It is not a new levy. It will maintain the current level of property taxation and will not increase property taxes. So I move that Council adopt this resolution this evening.
Do we have a second? Second. Any questions for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Dorf?
Yes.
And then I believe Mr. Dorf has an ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance to levy special assessments for the construction or reconstruction of sidewalks and appurtenances thereto in the city of Oakwood, Ohio. So this ordinance is the third piece of legislation for last year's sidewalk repair project authorizing the assessment of sidewalk repair costs that have not been paid directly by affected homeowners. So there are 33 unpaid invoices totaling $13,139.34. So this is the first reading of this ordinance, and I move that council waive the second reading and adopt it today.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Councilmember Dorf? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Dorf?
Yes.
And that concludes our legislation this evening. We do have a staff report from our Engineering and Public Works Department. Chris Kuzma is here. Welcome, Chris. We look forward to your report.
Thank you all. How are you all doing?
Very good.
There it is. Here to give an update. I know Doug Spittler, our Public Works Director, presented to you all in April, I believe. So, 3 months later now, just an update on a bunch of stuff going on in the engineering and public works world of Oakwood. My first slide is an update on the Raftellus organizational study that was conducted in 2025. The 7 positions, one has two of them, the facilities manager. We're making good headway on hiring those new positions. We've replaced the utilities foreman, which deals with our water and sewer our water distribution system and our sewer collection system. He was an internal promotion. He started in March. The water plant superintendent was an external hire, Dave Combs. He started in May. We have a parks foreman. He is tentatively starting here in a couple weeks in August. And we have next the water and sewer tech, which was vacated by Adam Jones, a couple facilities managers, which will be in charge of, as you can guess, our facilities, our buildings and such. And then we have a management analyst after that. Some current projects and initiatives. The asphalt repaving program just started in earnest about 8 hours ago, so I'll call it 12 hours ago now. So that's underway. The sidewalk curb and apron program, that is set to begin next week, and the concrete street repair program will be bid here in the next couple weeks. We also have a public works facility office renovation that we are about to start on this week. As I mentioned, the asphalt repaving program started this morning. John R. Jurgensen is performing the project. They were our contractor who performed our program last year. They do a very good job. We are very happy with them. So glad they're working on our program again this year. This year's budget was $500,000, and the contract was awarded at $454,500. And there's a list of streets over there. If you'd like details, I can provide a map or anything later. Sidewalk curb and apron program, contractor is A to Z. We bid that about a month ago. A to Z, they've performed our program the last 2 years. This will be their third year. Again, very good finish, very good hardworking crews. They stay on top of things, so we're very happy with them. The bid and contract amount was $539,000. I always like to quantify every year how much we actually inspect, because you think sidewalk, curb, and apron, big deal. You know, everywhere has sidewalks. There's curb everywhere. No, we walk this year 13.25 miles just of sidewalk, and that's 14,000 sidewalk panels that we inspected. Wow. Not to brag, but I did a majority of those. 16.8 miles of curb. It's a lot. That's my point in presenting that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of man hours, and it's no small undertaking. Here's a map of the programmed work zones that you all legislated earlier this year. The city's broken up into 12 zones now, which we will follow with our sidewalk, curb, and apron program and any other programs that fit. I think the first that comes to mind is getting back into a street tree trimming program. It's an easy way to break the city up pretty evenly based on lane miles. So I'm zooming in here. This year's sidewalk, curb, and apron program are in zone 2 and 3. That's the brownish orange at the bottom right, and then the yellow at the top right. Concrete street repair program, as I mentioned, we're about to bid that here in a couple of weeks. Our budget's $400,000, and we are set to repair Schaefer Boulevard right there in front of our Public Works facility from Irving up to the end of the concrete at Thruston. Here's a couple pictures just showing you the condition of Schaefer Boulevard. We crack seal it just about every year, and as you can see, not to exaggerate, but the road has become crack seal more than concrete in places, so obviously in need of some actual concrete replacement. Again, another photo showing the degradation of the road to the point that there's actually gravel in some spots, so again, it needs to be done, and we'll take care of it. Some other planned projects for the rest of the year to close out 2026. We have, I'll start with the Caton Drive water main replacement, your third bullet point there. That is under design. We just had our final design review with our engineering consultant, Choice One Engineering. So that is nearing completion as far as design goes. We do have to bid the project, and we're hoping to do that here late summer, early fall. Next would be the Ridgewood Road, not Ridgeway, Ridgewood Road water main replacement, and Park Avenue and Harmon water main extension right outside City Hall. Those two are set for design this year, construction next year. In addition, we have fiber that goes from City Hall here at 30 Park Avenue over to Smith Gardens, and with that comes Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, and then keyless entry to assist our parks crews for rentals and such. We also have public works yard improvements. That project has, it's both grown in scope over the last couple years and also just kind of been kicked down the road, so to speak, not because of we don't want to do it. It's just that, like I said, it's grown in scope. It went from a simple salt dome replacement to, well, if we're doing that, let's look at the storage for our materials. And then from there, well, we need a Vactor dump area for when we have water main breaks and we use the hydro excavator. So it's grown in scope, and we hope to get design accomplished this fall. Also, we had the everlasting lead and copper rule improvements. That is the lead and copper mandate by the EPA. That's ongoing through 2037 when all the lead service lines have to be out of the ground. And finally, we have the Fishbeck Engineering Water System Studies, the 3 studies that they presented on in the May council meeting. We are just now implementing that as we get into budget season for 2027. Some current and longer term capital projects. We have the LCRI, the lead and copper rule. As I mentioned, the Fishbeck Engineering Water System, or the water system studies, and the park master plan. And as part of the engineering studies by Fishbeck, we have the distribution system model, we have the water audit, which also calculated water loss or unmetered water here in the city, and then finally the well field and water treatment plant capacity analysis. So all 3 of those combined gave us a comprehensive plan that then becomes our roadmap going forward. a little bit more on the lead and copper rule. We send annually letters to all customers of Oakwood Water here in town, and we have to send 3 different letters, one of which is if you have a lead service line confirmed, we know that, we've dug down to it and we can see the lead. 2, if it's galvanized steel, that has some lead joints and such that also needs replaced. And then 3, the third type of letter we send is, we don't know what your service is. It may or may not be lead. We're not sure, but we're letting you know. So we have to go through all 3,500 of our services on a spreadsheet. It's quite lengthy, and determine which letters go to which addresses. So it's quite an undertaking again. It's all hands on deck near the end of the year on this, but we're making steady headway. I have a little breakdown at the bottom here of what we have in terms of material for our service lines in town, and here's a graphical representation. The green is good. That means it is an approved material. We do not have to touch those ever again. I won't say ever again, but they're approved, an approved material. We don't have to replace it in the next 10 years. The yellow and the red, we know we have to replace in the next 10 years. And as you can see, 84% are unknown. So we have a lot to determine what we need to do with. So the green has grown a little bit in the last couple of years since this mandate was initiated, but got a lot to go. So we're excited for that. A little bit more on the Fishback water system studies. As I mentioned, it's kind of a roadmap for our annual budgets going forward and our capital improvement plan. And I have the 5-year breakdowns that Fishback presented to you all. It comes out to be about $60 million over 20 years. And again, that's roughly $3 million per year. An update on the service contracts. We have tree services and also mowing and aeration. MBI Tree Service LLC was awarded the tree services contract, and we are very pleased with them. And they're doing a great job staying on top of quite a lengthy list of tree concerns and evaluations and removals that we have for them. Likewise, with Grunder Landscaping, we had a little bit of growing pains, pun intended, grass. We've worked through those, and we are content with the work they are performing, and we look forward to a relationship with them over the next couple of years. The tree services, NBI Tree Services, they have removed 55 trees since the beginning of the contract in March, 6 of which were emergencies. We called them. They were here within an hour during a storm or what have you. And we typically only remove within the right-of-way any dead or dying trees or anything that's potentially injurious to the right-of-way. So it's more of a courtesy to the homeowners that are adjacent. I don't know of many other cities that do that, so it's a great benefit of being here in Oakwood. And in addition, NBI trimmed the trees along 3 centerline miles for our asphalt program before we repaved. We begun repaving this morning, and there's 2 sides to every street, so that's actually 6 miles of tree trimming just within the last week. So they're very good at what they do.
What streets were those?
I'm sorry?
Tree trimming has taken place in the last...
The same ones as I'll back up to the asphalt program.
So all the trimming was for all those streets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So there's a list. I can provide a map if you would like it.
Great.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
But to be clear, this is different than the tree trimming that utility companies might do.
Correct.
All right.
Correct, yep.
Which are
that
not
would
under
be,
contract by the...
That's correct. That would be AES that has their own contractor, Lewis Tree Company.
You're not taking credit for the utility company's tree trimming
sir.
skills?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And finally, Park Master Plan, an update. We were awarded $450,000 through the DDC and ODNR. I'd like to take credit, but I will happily hand that over to Katie. She applied for the grant, and I think all we did was really check some numbers. So thank you, Katie. We look forward to starting that project. And with that, that is my update. Does anybody have any questions?
I had one question.
Yes, sir.
The the pie chart that you had the 15% of approved material.
Yes.
Is that like polyvinyl chloride, PVC piping? Is what is considered approved material? Or
Plastic or copper.
It's copper. Oh, it could be
Mostly copper. There
It's
are a
mostly
few,
copper.
yeah, there are a few plastic here and there, but mostly copper.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, also, along with the lead line replacement, when we had our meeting with Fishbeck, he mentioned that there maybe is a low-cost, efficient way to determine if you have lead or galvanized or, like what your pipes are made of. Is there something like that?
Yeah, we have a hydro excavator, and when I mentioned the hydrovac dump site that we would like to install at Public Works, that kind of works in tandem with this, so we can perform the excavations internally.
How invasive is that? I mean, is it?
A little pothole this wide, about the size of a
Okay,
basketball.
And the city can do that?
Yeah, we do it
Okay.
for water main breaks and all that
Okay,
currently.
what about for the residents? To determine what their pipes are made of?
We can do it right at the shutoff. So the shutoff, I'll call it, in most cases, especially on the east side of town, it's
Right.
between the sidewalk and the curb, where
curb.
we literally
Gotcha.
shut off the water if needed. The homeowner's side of that shutoff is the homeowner's responsibility, and then the other side is the city's.
Okay, so
we would
you don't
pothole
check the
we would
residents?
we do. We would pothole on both sides of that, so it's minimally invasive. So we know
Okay.
both materials,
Okay.
city and private side.
Okay, good.
Along that same line then, is the method going district by district, or how are we going to find out that almost 90% of people?
That's the next step. That is our plan this fall, to determine how to tackle that. We can do sampling, we can do every single service. There's a multitude of different options for us.
Other questions?
I had a quick one
Sir.
about, sorry, it was your first slide. It was about new staffing. If you can you tell us a little bit about the management analyst? Because I think that might help answer the other question we just had. So is this a new position?
It is.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what a management analyst will do for the department?
Yes, in a nutshell, basically a lot of data entry, a lot of, I'll say, customer service, but mostly would be getting us to a point that we're more efficient, more modernized, bringing everything to the digital age, online work order requests and such. So there's a lot of stuff that individual will be assisting with.
It'll help you move forward with the data so that we can
Yes.
create answers to some of these other questions that we've
Yeah.
been asking about. How do we deal with 3,000 plus?
Exactly. Yeah, and what's the best route? How do we sample? All that. Yep.
Great. I'll be excited to see that position filled.
Has that
Likewise.
position been posted?
We are working on the job description now.
Okay, other questions?
Well, and I'll just chime in briefly too. If you recall, that study recommended that we implement a CMMS system, which our residents and business owners can get online and report concerns or issues, because right now that's all handled manually by just a phone call. So we are also in the background looking at different CMMS systems and trying to figure out which one we like, and then that will be the system that houses that information. So this analyst position will be working in the system, getting that implemented, and then getting us the reporting that we need so we can have some KPIs or some data on how long is it taking us to go back and pick up, missed routes, or how long is it taking us to pick up brush in a certain area, so we can start to look at, what's the data telling us? Do we need additional folks? Are we doing it okay, or can we restructure, routes to make it a little more efficient? So that person will be managing all of that data.
Also, Chris, can you refresh my memory, where are we with the water meter replacement program?
That is proposed to be in the budget in the next year or two. I forget which. Water meter replacements, yeah, in the next couple years.
I'm assuming that would be a multi-year project, as opposed to trying
Yes.
to replace them
Yeah,
all in
yeah.
one year. I
It
don't
is
think you
multi-year.
Physically could do that, could you?
Not internally, no.
Okay.
Not
No,
do anything else,
It'll be
right?
it'll be broken up, yeah. And that's as recommended by
Well,
Fishbeck and
that-
Raftelis.
That's a bad, I feel bad about that because I remember when we did it the last time, so that's more due to my longevity than the fact that the process is under consideration.
Yep.
Well, and to add to that as well, we know we need the new meters, but now that we have the lead and copper mandate, we don't want to go through and fix lead and copper and then come back and tear up services to now put in new meter reading equipment. So we're trying to strategize on how we divide the area into 7 or 8 work zones, very much like we do with pickups. How do we strategize and what makes the most sense to get those replacements done on an annual basis? So it's a coordinated effort.
And we have the ongoing risk of federal regulations changing, either for good or for ill.
You got it. It's the name of the game.
One last question to Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
At least from me. Is the Public Works yard improvement, you said it's grown in scope and that you're getting the design. Are we doing that design work in-house?
We have to this point. On the fence about subbing that out, but to this point, it's been internal.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Sam, you act like you want to ask another question. No, okay. All right, I'm just making sure. Okay. Nobody, anyone else? Okay. That was a very informative report, and I
really
think our
was. Thank
citizens
you.
that are watching from home are going to want to see that. So
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Must see TV.
Thank you,
Thanks, Chris. All right, it's now time for our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few community reminders this evening. Our next blanket concert series at Smith Gardens is going to be with the Smithville South Band, and that will be held on Sunday, August 2nd at 7 p.m. So make sure you bring a blanket and a lawn chair and enjoy some great music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The annual ice cream social returns to Schaefer Park on Sunday, August 9th from 3:30 to 7 p.m. This is always one of Oakwood's most favorite summer traditions with ice cream, family activities, and community partners. So we hope everyone can join us. Chris mentioned the city's 2026 asphalt program, which began today. So the milling has been planned for Monday through Wednesday and the paving Thursday through Saturday. So residents need to watch for no parking signs, which will be posted 24 to 48 hours in advance. And as a general reminder, just to keep the streets clear, because that's essential to us completing the project safely and on schedule. Chris also mentioned the sidewalk, curb, driveway, and apron program is getting started the week of July 27th. Our contractor for that is A to Z, and this is also just part of our annual maintenance program to make sure that our sidewalks, curbs, and driveways stay in good condition, and we fix small repairs now before they come much bigger and more costly. Are there any questions?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You got off a lot easier than Chris. Okay. All right, very good. All right, well then it's now time for council comments, and Councilmember Dorff.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to wish a belated happy 250th birthday to the Declaration of Independence. It was great to walk around Oakwood. We walk almost every night and see all the flags and see the great spirit, and to see our community partners celebrate the 250th in really exciting ways. And I also want to give a shout out to a young gentleman, a young entrepreneur I met. His name was Rowan. I met him at an event that was hosted by Green Oakwood. I don't know how old he is. He's probably like 5 years old. But this sweet kid has started a group called the Oakwood Compost Crew. And he and his friends have a wheelbarrow. They've got business cards. They've got t-shirts, and they will pick up your yard waste and they will compost it for you. And I just thought that these kids were just the coolest things. And I just love the entrepreneurial spirit of these kids and their care for the environment. So shout out to Rowan and his parents, who probably do a lot of the work.
We need to send him to Aileron for consulting. I'm sure he can make some money doing this.
He's only 5.
Oh my gosh.
Well, his income is not taxable in Oakwood until he turns 18. All right. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. Given that our sidewalk replacement project starts next week, I found it very interesting to read about a book just published entitled Sidewalk Nation, The Life and Law of America's Most Overlooked Resources by Michael Pollack, a professor at the Cardozo School of Law in New York. He writes, "Sidewalks are where the public realm begins, the front line of the commons." Now, to state that a little bit more simply, he's saying that sidewalks are where the public life of a community begins. They are the place where people share space, connect with one another, and experience their neighbors together. Professor Pollack asserts that the condition and design of the sidewalk reflects a community's values. Well-maintained, accessible sidewalks can promote connection, safety, and inclusion, while neglected sidewalks can create barriers between people. But Pollack writes, surprisingly, law and policy seldom treat sidewalks, unlike roads, as an integrated network. He contends their construction and upkeep are often neglected, often left up to private owners. And he argues that in today's world, this model inefficiently diverts tax dollars to enforcement rather than action. So this 344-page book surveys sidewalk life in a dozen cities and towns and identifies examples of where good sidewalk policy exists. He cites Ithaca, New York, for example, which has created a system of sidewalk improvement districts in which property owners in each neighborhood pay a periodic assessment to fully fund sidewalk maintenance. Now, this is slightly different from what we do in Oakwood, but it's the same in that there is a system in place to maintain and fund sidewalks that promote and support pedestrian safety and foster what Pollack describes as harmoniously lively street life. Well, Mayor and fellow council members, everything that Professor Pollack thinks a city should do to ensure pedestrian safety, as prescribed in his 344-page book, Oakwood does. So the 450 homeowners who are currently involved in our sidewalk program may wish their pavement wasn't marked for repair. But the fact is, there's a significant agreement amongst our citizens that we value being a workable community and support a coordinated approach for keeping our sidewalks in good repair for the benefit of everyone. All this is to say that Professor Pollack would approve of the way Oakwood manages its sidewalks. In fact, if he had known that Oakwood citizens support sidewalk snow removal with tax dollars, I think his book would have 345 pages. So before reading about this book, I didn't really appreciate all the problems that urban areas throughout our country face for not making sidewalk maintenance a priority. And even though my sidewalk panel in front of my house was marked for repair, I feel grateful to our former city managers who established sidewalk maintenance practices so early in our community's history.
Well, thank you for that book report. and I will.
I haven't ordered the book.
Oh, okay. But if you forget to pay for your sidewalk repair, I'll make sure that Councilmember Dorff adds it to your property tax bill assessment. That was great. Councilmember Turbin.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Well, last week I had a friend contact me, and she said, Lee, there's a post on Ask Oakwood that I think you ought to go and look at. So I went out to Ask Oakwood, and there were several posts, and it had to do with a group of solicitors who were claiming to be from Alta Fiber, and they were also claiming to have a special agreement with the city, making it more cost-effective. Well, I didn't know of any special plan that we had with Alta Fiber, and so I called our city manager, and she confirmed that we do not have any special plan with Alta Fiber or any of the fiber optics providers. And so she steered me to our legal counsel, Rob, and to our chief, Chief Hill. And so shortly, I got an email from Chief Hill, and he said that there are no open permits or, there was another word, hold on, licenses to be able to go out and solicit from any Alta Fiber providers. So they are in violation. And so shortly, I saw a post that the chief put out on our safety officer's Facebook and said, you know, these people are going around, just beware, you know, they are not part of any agreement with the city. And then I later saw an article in the Oakwood Register and then in the Dayton Daily, which is all great. And so you're saying, well, why are you telling us this, Lee? Number one, if you are approached, at least you will know to ask the right questions. But more so, if you are approached by someone that doesn't just seem just right, call the city. And if you don't know who to call the city, call our front desk and they'll be sure to get you to that. And in this case, when I looked at some of the posts, one person said, yeah, that person was just here. Now, if that person had picked up the phone and called us, I mean, our officers are out there in 2 minutes. And they could have confronted them and stopped it right then and there, and really it would have been end of the story. So I ask you, if you see anything that doesn't just hit you right, just call the city. And like I say, if you don't know who to call, just call the front desk and they'll get it to the right person. So there you go.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Byington.
No comments this evening.
All right, well, I have one or two here. I missed our June meeting, and so I was unable to report on an event that occurred on that day in May. And it was a retail theft at the CVS store at 1 in the afternoon on that Saturday or that day in May. Our public safety officer, Rothenberger, was relying on his past training and experience, recognized the speed in which the items were taken, the quantity of the same, over $5,000, and this was beyond what we typically see in a normal retail theft. So Officer Rothenberger further obtained information from the store manager that they had been in communication with other area CVS stores where similar thefts occurred shortly after the one that happened in Oakwood. Public Safety Officer Rothenberger and Lieutenant Stone subsequently notified Lieutenant Matt Staley, who was on duty working that day in May event at the time, within an hour of the initial report being taken. Staley was able to quickly relay the information known at that time to our Tactical Crime Suppression Unit Retail Theft Task Force. TCFU is a group of 8 suburban communities that handle organized type crimes. Due to the quick notification, a suspect vehicle was identified from an area CVS location. Using flock safety system, area law enforcement officers were able to locate the subject vehicle at a hotel in the greater Cincinnati area within less than 48 hours after the thefts occurred. Multiple suspects were arrested. Over $12,000 in stolen merchandise was recovered, and evidence obtained during its investigation suggests that the individuals responsible are part of a larger organized theft crime ring with plans to ship the stolen items out of the state. Obviously a collaborative effort by many officers and agencies, but the excellent work of Public Safety Officer Rothenberger, Lieutenant Stone, and Lieutenant Staley set the wheels in motion for what was a successful outcome. And then Saturday, I was able to attend the Gala of Hope fundraising event down at the Masonic Temple. And this fundraising event raises funds for cancer research. And one of the unique things about it is all of the funds stay in the local area for cancer research. And a lot of the hospital execs were there, a lot of cancer-related physicians were there. Oakwood resident Sarah Elder, she is the Ohio representative for the Mrs. America tour. She started her 1-year term on June 15th, so she was there dressed up in her gown and sash.
Oh, wow.
And I found out when her term expires, so I can start asking her on June 15th of next year, it's time to volunteer again. So I've got her in my Rolodex. We also, State Representative Andrea White and Phil Plummer were there, as well as Congressman Mike Turner. So it was a well-attended event, and they raised $2.1 million for Cancer Research to be in Dayton, Ohio. And then finally, last night, Chief Hill informs us that we had 2 public safety officers got a call for 3 individuals in the Hatcher Platte area. Apparently UD police were out with them earlier in the overnight hours and the suspects fled from them. They located 2 who were identified, but not the 3rd suspect. The 3rd individual ended up breaking into a detached garage on Kramer Road where he stole some items, including the keys to a car, jumped in it, and drove off. The suspect drove the vehicle into the lot of the Dayton Country Club, where public safety officer Payne and a UD officer were parked. The suspect saw the officers, freaked out, slammed the car in reverse, and crashed the car into the Dayton Country Club entrance sign and destroyed it, and then fled on foot. A perimeter was set up. The Kettering Police Department brought out their drones and a dog. A track was started that resulted in the suspect being found inside an attached garage on Southview. The K-9 bit the 18-year-old suspect, who was eventually transported to Miami Valley Hospital by our medic for treatment. The investigation is still under investigation, so we will see. The thing that concerns me is all of our car thefts that occur in Oakwood. I don't want to say all, but I would say 95, if not 97%, the people who have auto thefts in Oakwood, they leave their keys in the car and their car unlocked. So I don't know whether that happened to this particular person on Kramer who had their car stolen, but I'm sure, looking at the sign damage at Dayton Country Club, I'm sure there was quite a bit of auto damage there. So I just want to let you know that public safety is a prime directive in Oakwood, and we do all that we can to make sure that we keep our citizens safe, no matter what part of town they're in. That's all I had for this evening. Our next regular meeting is on Monday, August 3rd of 2026, and we are adjourned.